on Climate Change Committee Scotland report, Next Steps. Before we move to that item of business, I want to make the following remarks. Important aspects of this afternoon's statement have been reported in various media outlets. Where the Government chooses to share information pertaining to any ministerial statement in advance of that statement being made, the Government remains responsible for ensuring that such information is not reported by the media before the Parliament learns of it. I have spoken to the Minister for Parliamentary Business and I've asked that the Cabinet Secretary apologises to the Chamber for this breach of our long-established good practice guidance on announcements. The Chamber will be aware that I have previously disallowed or truncated statements. However, the information reported in the press today is key to actions that may impact on legislation in this Parliament and the way the Government is held accountable by the Parliament. Additionally, there is information in the statement that hasn't been previously reported. And for those reasons, as I do not wish to disadvantage other members, I intend to allow the statement to be made, but I would remind the Government in the strongest terms possible that this Parliament must be given its proper place. The Cabinet Secretary will take questions at the end of her statement, and there will be no interruptions or interventions during her statement, and I call on the Cabinet Secretary.
Presiding Officer, please allow me to begin by setting out my regret and indeed my apology to you and to the Chamber for the media speculation that has surrounded the content of my statement today. I regret it because I take the integrity of the Parliament very seriously and your role within that, but equally because it's made it more difficult for me to communicate something which I think requires very careful, nuanced and detailed communication. I've asked the Permanent Secretary, as a matter of urgency, to conduct an internal investigation into the circumstances. Presiding Officer, the race to net zero is one that we must all win, and I want to begin by affirming this Government's unwavering commitment to ending our contribution to global emissions by 2045 at the latest, as agreed by Parliament on a cross-party basis. I was grateful for the latest report from the Committee on Climate Change on our progress in reducing emissions. The CCC are a key partner in our net zero journey and their insights are essential. Their report recognised much to be proud of, including this Government's provision of free bus travel to all under 22s, our work delivering more woodland in Scotland in a year than any other UK nations combined, and our work in decarbonising heat and buildings, noting that it could become a template for the rest of the UK. Considerable progress is also being made in energy. Scotland is becoming a renewables powerhouse, with 87.9% of electricity generation coming from zero or low carbon sources in 2022. These are just some of the examples of the considerable work that has been taken and which sees us nearly halfway to net zero, narrowly missing our most recent annual emission reduction target, but still decarbonising faster than the UK average. But quite rightly, just as with the UK Government, the CCC challenges us to go further. And that's exactly what we will do, as today I'm announcing a new package of climate action measures, which we will deliver with partners to support Scotland's transition to net zero. Firstly, Presiding Officer, the global transition to zero emissions vehicles is happening apace. Indeed, major car manufacturers have named the day when they will cease manufacture of new petrol and diesel vehicles. Scotland has long been at the forefront of helping people make the transition to EVs, but now we will go further, working in partnership to more than quadruple the number of electric vehicle charge points across Scotland. Collaborating across the public and private sector, Scotland will see approximately 24,000 additional charge points by 2030. This will help ease any remaining range anxiety that people may feel and make sure that going electric is an option for every part of our nation. To make public transport fit better with people's lives and to encourage us all to choose more sustainable transport, we will also explore a new national integrated ticketing system for public transport in Scotland. We will encourage and support operators across all modes of transport to participate in this project, which aims to enable passengers to use one ticketing system for all elements of a journey. We will help people be less reliant on cars, and we will publish a route map to help deliver a 20% reduction in car use. This will not be a one-size-fits-all, top-down approach. We understand that urban and rural Scotland will contribute differently to this, and our Just Transition Plan for transport will ensure support for all communities. Turning to other vehicles, we will support the transition away from petrol and diesel vans, working with business, including the largest companies for an initial phase, and in line with our New Deal for Business principles, we will develop plans and support mechanisms to accelerate the switch to zero-emission technologies and more sustainable modes. We understand the importance of this transition to small businesses and independent traders in particular, and we'll ensure that their needs are at the heart of this work. Scotland's Food and Drink, Presiding Officer, is a significant national success story, and food security is important to this government. That's why we're supporting our farming community to continue producing food whilst lowering emissions. The Cabinet Secretary for Rural Affairs is working with the sector to deliver this, including through the ongoing Agricultural and Rural Communities Bill and the Agriculture Reform Board that she co-chairs with the National Farmers Union of Scotland. But we want to do more to support our agricultural sector to lead the way in regenerative farming and food production. That's why we will take forward a pilot scheme with some Scottish farms to establish future appropriate uptake of methane-suppressing feed products or additives, a key measure to reduce emissions from livestock where practical. Some of these additives are being pioneered here in Scotland, so we look forward to working on this homegrown innovation. Proportionate carbon audits will also be required by farms receiving public support by 2028 at the latest. Nutrient management plans will build on this and be integrated into the whole farm plans. We will also accelerate our regional land use partnerships, with up to 3 new areas coming into the initiative over the next year, recognising, of course, that successful partnerships are those driven by communities. And to further accelerate peatland restoration, we will investigate how partial rewetting can coexist with continued agricultural activity and access to agricultural support, including investing up to £1 million in pilot projects. This summer, Presiding Officer, we will also launch a consultation on carbon land tax on the largest estates, as part of considering regulatory and fiscal measures that could further incentivise peatland restoration, afforestation and renewable energy production. We're also considering the recommendations from the Green Heat Finance Task Force to review and publish by the end of the year analysis of how non-domestic rates relief can better support our climate ambitions and encourage investment in energy efficiency and clean heating systems. This will be developed working closely with the business community in line with New Deal for Business principles. Presiding Officer, Scotland is distinguished by the importance that we place on a just transition. We will publish our final energy strategy and Just Transition Plan this summer, to be followed by draft plans for agriculture, transport, buildings and construction. Moreover, following the publication of a Just Transition Plan for Grangemouth, I can confirm today that we will co-develop a Just Transition Plan for Musmorran. These policies again emphasise the critical role that Scottish businesses and industry play in our net zero transformation, and we will work closely with them throughout delivery.